Hey, you're just in time. Let's jam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Scott, and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Jam, the newest and probably soon to be best Cowboy Bebop podcast. Now, I'm not just saying that, and I'm not the only one to say that. In fact, my friend Ollie here, hi Ollie.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, is going to agree with me because that's what he's here to do. I'm kidding. Ollie's got opinions, he's got thoughts, he's got feelings, and we're here to respect all of them.
Oh my God,
On today's jam session, we're going to be going over episode 3 and 4 of Cowboy Bebop, Honky Tonk Woman, and Gateway Shuffle. Now, before we get into the episodes themselves, we have some confessions to make. So, on the last episode of the show, we talked about the inspirations for the OP, for the famous OP for Tank, the incredible famous great OP to Cowboy Bebop. And it is great and it's still great and whatnot, but we were wrong about the inspirations of the show. For some reason, I had thought that the techniques and the film techniques had originated with Get Smart and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which are these like old spy shows.
Yeah.
But upon further digging into it, shows I actually need to do my research and not just say I'm doing my research. It's a lot more of, in fact, the OP itself was directly influenced by the OP songs from Lupin III, which, if you haven't seen, is great.
Yeah.
Lupin III Part 2.
Yeah, it's the 1977 one.
Right.
Way back.
And so, very way back.
Way back.
Yeah. Like Speed Racer back. Like before Speed Racer?
Yeah, I think that's I think there's a Japanese Speed Racer too, man.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a Japanese anime Speed Racer.
Well, that was the original. It was originally it was one of the first anime that was dubbed in English. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about how we often make wild speculations and have to backpedal in the next episode.
Hold up. Oh, yep.
And so the wild speculations are not going to stop. But hopefully, going forward, we are going to be more sure about our wild speculations.
Hey, again, our motto can be like entertainment first before accuracy. I don't know. That can be a thing. I'm just trying to save our ass here, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
entertainment first before accuracy.
Hey, we didn't say we were going to be accurate. That was never part of the deal.
We just want to entertain you guys. Want to make you laugh, smile, make your day.
We're just here to make you happy. So there was that, and we also talked about so the OP song really came from the Lupin III opening, specifically in part 2, the third OP.
Yeah.
And the film techniques that we talked about were actually used in the openings of the original few Bond movies. So I went back and I watched the openings to those movies, and they're very sort of Bebop inspired with the picture-in-picture and the lighting effects and the projecting of an image onto a solid object, so the image like wraps around the object.
It's pretty cool. Again,
super rad.
I'm still amazed about that effect.
Super rad. And as for the picture-in-picture movement of things, the earliest that I saw was actually in the Brady Bunch opening. So if you remember that show, it was originally like...
I'm trying to like...
Okay, so it opened with like the 3 children on the one side, and then the image of the video of the father coming in, and then they sing a song, and then it was the same of like the video of the 3 daughters, and then the video of the mother,
I'm gonna
Ollie,
quick view of this Brady Bunch opening because
go
I am
watch the Brady
curious.
Bunch opening. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you called it. Yeah. This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Carry on.
great. So, now that we're wrapping that up, we are ready to move forward. What do you say? We get in to session 3, Honky Tonk Woman. So first off, I love how they show us more about the wider story that's going to take place in this episode before we even meet Spike and Jet. And it kind of makes us feel like we're just along for the ride. And obviously, dramatic irony is a ton of fun. It's kind of reminiscent of something that we talked about in the last episode as well, about how by setting up the episode before we meet our main characters, it really feels like our main characters are stumbling into what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not even really their story. It's somebody else's story. But we talked about that last episode, so we're not really going to give it too much time.
Sure.
Now, I'm finding myself during the OP just being really excited for the adventure to come. And that was like a real feeling of excitement I just had while I was just sitting here watching the episode, even again for the second time. And knowing that the scope of where the show can go is like, I just can't wait to see what they do with it. So a mysterious woman in yellow walks into the shop and is taken by a group of thugs. She puts up a fight, though. This mysterious, beautiful woman in yellow says the first rule of combat is don't get shot first.
Yep.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Nope. I mean,
definitely not wrong.
Yeah, you want to fire first. I mean, the rules of engagement, present day, doesn't work like that, but
right.
She's not wrong.
Right. So she's taken to the ship of a man named Gordon, the leader of a criminal organization and the owner of a casino. She's said to be the reincarnation of a famous gambler named Poker Alice, who's actually a real-life poker player, said to be from the Wild West. Like, this is a real person that they're making references to.
Have you seen the picture of Poker Alice?
Yeah, she's devastating and terrifying.
Listeners, just type in Poker Alice and look at the first picture. You look at Wikipedia. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is someone you don't want to mess with.
No.
Imagine Winston Churchill became an old lady, but she has menacing eyes, and she has a big stogie in her mouth.
So she's just Winston Churchill.
Well, she's born in Devonshire, England, back in February 17, 1851. She's menacing.
Yep. No, that would make her like 70 in World War II. Anyway.
Poker Alice, carry on.
Great. She does not confirm or deny that she is in fact Poker Alice, but when offered the chance to erase her debts, she's happy to take up the deal and become the linchpin in an incredibly elaborate business plan, which of course we don't know anything about. But if you know anything about me and Ollie, you know how much we love a good scheme.
Oh yeah. You know, I just noticed in the world of Bebop, everyone seems to be in debt or broke.
Well, they do say that fiction imitates reality.
Fair. Wow, that is so sad.
Yeah, right?
Can you imagine being both at the same time? Oh, yes. Oh boy. Anyways. Yes. God damn it.
So,
why would you have to say that?
With absolutely no more information regarding the situation, we cut to Spike and Jet coming to a casino in hopes of walking out with some cash money as they're down to their last 5,000 wulongs, which apparently in this universe isn't very much.
Nope. Not a lot.
we see, now I love this. We see that the casino is called the Spaders from Mars, which is an obvious, no, I say obvious, but it might not be obvious if you don't know and if you're not familiar with David Bowie.
Yeah.
And his fake band in the song Ziggy Stardust called the Spiders from Mars.
Yep, yeah. Oh!
Yeah.
Nice catch,
This episode
man.
doesn't have too many of those like quick visual reference gags, except for Poker Alice. But yeah, it's a really cool little one that jumped out. Now, Jet comments that they're going to get thrown out if Spike wins too much. So Spike can count cards, facts, and he's a hell of a gambler. And when he's told,
can we assume that Spike is just smart?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, I thought that was already the case.
I mean, smart is different from cunning. I know.
Okay.
Spike is really cunning, but for you to count cards in the table, I think that's higher level.
Well, he either counts cards or he's just a really good gambler. He's a really good card player.
That's scary. Okay,
Spike's that is scary. You know. Spike is terrifying.
I guess he has a history of cleaning house. If Jet will tell him like, "Hey man, don't win too much. They'll throw you out." He probably has a history. Anyways,
so when he realizes that he can't smoke in there, he just. Now I think this is even scarier and more off-putting. He just eats his cigarette.
Oh, I've seen people do that.
That's gross.
It is gross. And I just stare at the guy like, you can just like drop it there.
You can just put it out.
Drop it, step on it, and done, right? But no.
Ow. Gross.
Yep.
Spike sits at a blackjack table where the woman from earlier is the dealer. At this point, she recounts the plan. The plan is that a man with Spike's general appearance is going to sit at her table. He's going to lose all of his money because she's going to cheat and take all his money. And this guy is going to tip her with his last chip. And she's supposed to deliver that chip to Gordon. Now, obviously, most of this goes to plan, except that this guy isn't Spike. The guy she's looking for isn't Spike, but looks close enough on a distorted monitor that maybe he could be. So naturally, Spike sits down, loses all his money, but keeps his last chip, which obviously isn't what was supposed to happen in this plan.
Because the dealer was expecting that chip to be her tip.
Exactly. Not because she wanted to get a tip, but because that chip was supposed to go to Gordon, and the guy that she was, playing cards with, the guy who sat at the table, was supposed to be in on the deal.
Oh, so that's like the swap portion of the deal happening under the guise of a blackjack. Okay, that's sneaky.
Yeah. So it wasn't. So it's not an obvious thing. All parties were supposed to know about it, except that the wrong guy sat at the table too soon. And I wonder if this shows that this character, this lady character, whose name we don't know yet, is often going to be too quick to jump the gun.
Okay.
So just sort of pay attention to what she does going forward. And how impulsive she can be. And how, while she might know the plan, she might not, be ready for things to go sideways.
I think she's a person who just sticks to the plan. Let's say, okay, this is what's going to happen. She's close stuff like, okay, everything's going to go down this way. It's not going to go the other way.
Could be that too. So she chases after our boy, and he runs into the person who she was actually supposed to meet. They bump into each other, and in the kerfuffle, both drop their last chips and pick them up. Except pick up each other's final chip.
Chips got mixed up midair.
Yeah. So she catches up to Spike and loudly exclaims about he was supposed to follow the plan. And he's just like, oh, I knew you were cheating. There's no way you could have gotten that many blackjacks in a row. And so then she's like,
Hey
what?
man, in real life, you say that in a casino to a dealer? That's a
So as the heat is turning up, she sets a remote on her zip car to come pick her up. And she makes her escape.
Mind you, her zip car is awesome.
Her zip car is so cool.
I love her zip car so much.
Oh man! In the next episode,
but it's way cooler than the swordfish. I just like it.
Okay,
I just like it.
We'll have
swordfish
words.
is cool, but
we'll have words. So, Jet and Spike get into a fight with some thugs because Spike is told to come with them, and he's like, "Where are we going?" And so the guy just punches him. And Spike makes the funny joke to say, "I think I might stick around. I really dig their athletics program." So Spike is clearly an 80s action hero.
These are big dudes that hit him.
And they're big dudes, too.
These are big dudes.
So the fight, gets Jet's attention. And he comes across and...
I feel bad for Jet in this episode.
Right? Because he's literally just sitting there winning at slots.
He's like...
He's already hit a few jackpots.
Money. He's like... Maybe he's thinking, okay, we're going to have that peppers and beef finally. Like the real
finally have the beef.
It's happening. Then Spike. Really?
But Spike.
Really?
Spike got in a fight.
Really? You're going to do this right now? Like,
great.
I feel bad. Yeah. I'm surprised Jet is not yet tired of his Spike's crap.
I think Spike keeps Jet young.
I don't know, man. If I was Jet, I would be like, come on, man.
I think Jet would be really bored if not for Spike.
That is true. Hey,
I am interested. I'm really interested to find out more about their history together.
I want to know that too, to be honest.
So, Jet and Spike make a run for it without Jet having the time to cash out his winnings. And while the woman is flying her ship through the casino, through the zone, the casino city, she's startled to find Jet and Spike on top of her ship. I love, love, love how the wackiest things in this show happen off screen.
Yep.
Like the most cartoony and most buffoon-ridden things to this show always seem to happen off scene.
It's entertaining, man.
It's so good. And I love how much they leave to the imagination. And, it's so good. So Gordon has the intended man in the woman's scheme brought to him to get the chip. Now, unfortunately, the chips were swapped, like we said. So when they analyze it as a fake, they realize that it's not the right one.
Yep.
And Gordon pops the man, point blank, ends his life.
Just ended his subscription to life. Sorry, bud.
Commercial break.
Oh man, this Bebop thing.
So, back on the Bebop. Spike and Jet have the woman handcuffed and plan to sell her ship to Gordon for Jet's lost winnings. Because at this point, Jet's just pissed off that he didn't get to cash in his chips.
Who wouldn't be, man? Come on.
Right?
Peppers
and the woman says that instead, trade the chip to Gordon for a handsome reward. The last poker chip that Spike had. Now the boys don't believe her, and they leave. Now somehow she, after convincing the boys to let her uncuff one of her hands, she contacts Gordon and tells them exactly where she is. Now we find out through another episode of Big Shots, again, the perfect vehicle of exposition in this show.
There's no social media.
No social media.
They have Big Shot.
Love Big Shots.
Yep.
We find out that the woman is Faye Valentine, and her bounty is for 6 million Woolongs. Now the new plan for the boys is to sell the ship to Gordon and turn Faye into the police for her bounty. which kind of makes perfect sense. So Jet goes to work inspecting the chip and finds a lot more than he expected. Gordon intercepts the ship, and we learn all about the chip. Wow, say that 10 times fast. Gordon intercepts the
Bebop and we all learn about his chip.
Yeah, okay, never mind. But you know what? I'm just going to read the next part right from the wiki because it's really complicated. And I was having a hard time with actually summarizing it. 3 years prior, a group at SIT created a master decryption program called Cryptbreaker, which can decrypt almost any security code. Shortly after its completion, the programmer turns up dead and the program disappeared. The catch is, the program itself, the Cryptbreaker, is in itself encoded, and the computer chip is the key to unlocking it. ISSP has been searching everywhere for it, but they couldn't find it due to it being hidden in a casino chip. This is where Jet makes notice of a past involvement with the ISSP. Now, Gordon offers to pay, and they settle on 30 million Wulongs. So they're going to get 30 mil for the computer chip that will unlock the Cryptbreaker. So Team Bebop agrees, and Spike throws on his spacesuit and goes for a spacewalk. Now let's talk about the animation here. This sequence,
it's pretty good.
Incredible. It's so easy to forget, at least I think, that this show was hand-drawn and hand-painted.
Yeah. And also like consider the fact that whoever is like thinking about or like drafting the storyboard, he needs to have a grasp of physics too, right? How everything moves. So I'm like, okay,
Right?
this is handwritten. How does he interpret the physics in this story? So it's pretty cool.
And
Again,
just to
people
have,
watch it.
and so to have like the way Spike, I love how casually it shows Spike just walking in space.
Yeah.
This is something he clearly does all the time. Like, this isn't anything new to him. And that he was comfortable enough and confident enough to...
He knows how to move.
To release his magnetic boots and leap through the void of space, not tethered to anything. Flip.
He knows, man.
And land safely on the other ship.
It's
just cool. It's just cool.
We don't know how many times he's done it, but pretty sure a lot.
So, in the trade between Spike and a random goon for the money, the goon tries to pull a fast one and tries to shoot Spike, but instead he gets kicked into the void of space, where he presumably suffocates or starves.
You know what I'm thinking? Do they have those, like, you know, in the most like space things that we watch, they have those like little boosters in the back, in the foot, that kind of nudges them in a direction. Let's say, oh, I'm untethered.
Well, there was on Spike's suit, but I don't know if it was on the other guy's suit.
Man, the standards in space in the future is bad. That's all I can say.
We're also going to come back to that guy in a second, like in a little bit.
He's not dead?
Well, we'll get to it. So Faye makes her daring escape using nothing but a hairpin and raids the team's fridge, taking all that she can carry. Which, I mean, kind of makes sense. She doesn't know how long she's going to be... she doesn't know how long she's going to be out there for, so she should probably get food.
Fair.
You can tell that this isn't the first time she's done this.
Oh my god, she wraps fridges?
Wouldn't you? Again, wouldn't you?
Sure.
So while she is escaping, Gordon fires a bunch of missiles at her and skillfully dodges them and manages to change the polarity on one of them, sending it flying back to Gordon's ship and sending them all to oblivion. So she blows up Gordon's ship, essentially, with his own missile. Which now, let's go back to the guy that Spike kicked off the ship.
What happened to that dude?
Well, he might not be dead. Well, at least he's not as dead as the other people on Gordon's ship.
So he's lucky he got kicked off the ship.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's good that he got kicked off the ship instead of being on the ship when it exploded.
Okay, fair. Fair. Buddy got a good end of the stick.
So with the bounty escaped, Gordon dead, and one last poker chip in hand, Spike and Jet decide to play some casino games to try to make some money.
With the chip.
Yeah, because it's at this point they don't even care.
Man, I'm worried. Can you imagine if I was Spike, I would probably like mix that chip up with some other chips.
Yeah, obviously.
And just lose it.
I think that's the idea. And so that ends the episode.
Ooh.
What were your thoughts on this episode so far, as we finished it up?
Well, the safety committee in space sucks because they don't make it standard for suits to have like little booster things.
Yep.
In the event that you're not tethered and you've float away.
Or mag boots. I think they all have mag boots, but I don't think they all have the boosters. The boosters are a premium future in super capitalism, you see.
Fine, premium. But you're in the future. You have space. I don't know. Give the guy grappling hook.
Something.
Or something. I don't know. I think with a suction, with a plunger in the end.
I like to think that this poor mook got picked up by somebody. Somebody at some point picked this guy up and brought him back in just before he suffocated.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think, or the explosion like rocketed him way out into oblivion, like rocketed him way out into the void, and then he got picked up by some random nobodies.
You know what? That's the worst way to go. It's just
bad.
Right? You're in space. You're alone. It's dark. You can see and just like, oh, guess I'm gonna stop breathing in like 30 minutes. So the rule of X days without water, X days without food, I will die. Well, 30 minutes.
Great. Perfect. Can't wait. And the body probably wouldn't even decompose because there's no oxygen to break the tissue down.
He's in a vacuum. He's in a suit. As long as the suit doesn't break, I guess he's... Yeah. You're going to be mummified alive. Well... Yeah. Nah, I don't want to die in space.
Wow, that's dark. Let's move on from that dark thought.
Good luck, buddy.
So we learn through Faye in this episode, a few things that we learned. Was that gypsies or Romany people are still around in the far-flung future.
Hey man, more power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now it also somehow took me, I don't know about you, until this episode to realize that Jet is the only cyborg we've seen so far in this universe.
So far. Episode 4. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like this episode had a much slower pace and felt more character focused, but still moved at a really nice clip to tell a whole story in an episode.
I'd say yeah, compared to the previous episode, like the Corgi episode. I love that episode so much. It's just goes. Run after the dog.
It's always going.
It goes. But this one took time to like build character, build worlds. Like, oh, what's this chip? Oh, okay, that's the chip. What happened? Oh, well, 3 years ago this happened.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good change of pace, if you ask me.
Absolutely. Do you have any more thoughts on this episode before we continue?
Boosters. Boots. Should be a standard in space.
Boosters and boots.
Yep.
Should be standard on every spaceship, space shuttle, space suit.
Yep.
Every space suit. And shuttle, I guess.
Yep.
And ship. Very important.
Grappling hooks.
Can never have too many grappling hooks. That's just facts.
It's worth it. Oh, this episode. Okay, I like this episode. I find it
Gateway
funny, actually.
Gateway Shuffle?
I find it funny. I find it really funny.
Okay. So let's get into session 4. Gateway Shuffle. Now, this episode really expands the world and really raises the stakes. So no longer are we just you're going to see by the end of this episode that no longer are we just dealing with a crime boss or a bounty that needs to be collected, or well, those two things are those are the two things we've dealt with so far. And really raises the stakes and maybe turns our bounty hunters into full-on heroes.
Kinda, sorta.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So after her daring escape, Faye is left adrift in her zip car near Ganymede with no fuel, and unfortunately, she's starting to run out of food. Now, isn't it good that she raided the fridge before?
It is.
No, imagine if she hadn't raided the fridge before.
It makes sense. It also shows that Faye's a person, like, you know, she knows what she's going to do next.
She's got plans.
Like, I was watching that episode. Why is she raiding the fridge? Why? And like, oh.
Because she's done this before.
She's done this before.
She's been in this position before.
And if you watch this episode, you would literally see Faye inside the cockpit of her ship with like wrappings of foods floating around. I'm like,
yeah. Which is kind of hilarious.
This makes sense.
She kind of okay. So I've been rewatching sort of a few like Dragon Ball Z video reviews and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just watched today. I'm going to date the recording of this, but Totally Not Mark just put out an episode or a video about the filler of Dragon Ball Z and rates it, scale of 1 to 10. Okay. Reviews the filler for Dragon Ball Z. And somehow so he talks a little bit about the trip for Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan to Namek.
Okay.
And how in the filler, at least, Bulma is like a complete slob. Leaving food all over the place, walking around without pants on. Just, it kind of fits for her character.
Yeah, it does.
But just her being a slob. And somehow, like, I just made a connection in my head between the way that Faye is keeping her ship and the way Bulma was while she was traveling through space. So she encounters a wrecked ship and decides to investigate. So at this point, she's been letting out a distress call. She's out of fuel. She's in a bad spot. And she just wants a ride to Ganymede. First person whips by. Second person is the wreck that she stumbles upon. So meanwhile, Spike and Jet are just having breakfast on Ganymede while scoping out their next mark, Morgan. They're having a conversation about sea rats. Now, sea rats kind of seem to mirror the history of lobster in our world, in that originally it was a garbage food and considered bottom feeder food. This is way out on the East Coast.
Yeah, I heard about that in the East Coast. I had a co-worker back then. He said, like, in the East Coast, if you're eating lobster every day, you're poor. I was like, what do you mean, dude? Lobster's so expensive. Nah, man, like back then, if you're eating lobster every day, you're poor.
Right.
Why?
And so at this point with sea rats, it was only eaten by people who couldn't afford anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they would, but then when trade opened up, when the economy got better, when the in this case, I think it's when Ganymede government became more recognized, the economy got better, people stopped eating sea rat because they kept eating sea rat specifically as a status thing,
like a festive, maybe status or festive thing. Like, I don't
know. It became a, from what I understand, it became a status symbol. It became a symbol that, oh, I can afford this now. I'm choosing to eat this as a status thing.
Do you remember when was the last time you saw lobster in the menu and how much was it? I can't even remember the last time I saw lobster on the menu.
Well, we don't really do.
We see crab.
Yeah, so at least on the West Coast, you don't really see. I don't think we really get much lobster. If we were to get lobster,
it's pretty interesting. To listeners, if you guys have input about the price of lobsters, comment, enlighten us.
If we were to get lobster, it would be from the East Coast.
Always.
So it would be trucked all the way across the country. So it doesn't really make sense for us to have lobster here.
Fair.
But yeah, it ain't cheap. So while Spike and Jet are having breakfast on Ganymede, scoping out their next Mark Morgan, also all having breakfast, the Space Warriors, a band of eco-terrorists who shoot up the restaurant, just completely decimate it, when this guy Morgan boisterously orders the sea rat saute.
Yep. I cracked up when I heard that.
Wow.
What?
Like, they just decimate the whole place.
They lit it up.
And so
bad.
This is just after their introductory conversation where they refer to their leader as Mama and say that one of the children are going to have to be punished because of the failure of their last mission. Did you see the Judge Dredd movie, the most recent one?
The newest one? No. I've
With
seen the
Carl
OG
Urban.
one. I've seen the Stallone one.
Okay, so you should definitely watch the Carl Urban Judge Dredd.
Is it a remake or different?
No, it's a completely different story. But
okay.
the main villain's name is Mama, and she's like the head of a gang organization that runs this specific apartment block. And I don't know if it's based on a story from Judge Dredd, like from the comics, but I'm seeing like a connection between the two, and it almost feels like that character may have in some ways been based on this character in Bebop.
It's glamorous, by the way. The Bebop Mama.
Oh, very glamorous. Very Cruella
like
de Vil.
Middle-aged rich lady.
Yeah.
Wide brim hat and feathers and thingy.
Yeah, she feels very Cruella de Vil.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after the shootout, Morgan is dead, like full of holes. But Jet remembers that the leader of the Space Warriors, Twinkle Maria Murdoch, has a 25 million Wulong bounty on her head. So naturally, our boys take her in at gunpoint while she's trying to make her escape. Now she tells her goons to go back to the base and wait for her. This won't take long at all. Back on the Bebop, Jet refreshes his memory on the Space Warriors. It turns out they used to be like a protest group for the good of sea rats on Ganymede, but ever since this lady took over, they've gone full eco-terrorist and are now just being awful all over the universe.
They went radical, eh?
They went too radical. They went full radical. Which, there's something to be said about radical eco-terrorism.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's necessary to get your point across. We at Let's Jam do not condone any acts of terrorism or violence for political gain.
Yep.
Making sure we get that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it seems the bounty on their leader, though, was halted by the government of Ganymede.
Dropped.
Which seems a little weird. Turns out the Space Warriors had threatened to release a virus on Ganymede if the ISSP did not drop the bounty. Now, Faye's own investigation leads to finding a man, apparently his name is Get, on life support. She's handed his case and told to get it to the ISSP, but do not open it. Naturally, she opens it right away and seems to find a strange gold construct.
She doesn't know what it is.
She doesn't know what it is, but we have an idea. She's soon picked up by the Bebop after Jet finds her distress call.
You know what's funny? Why did they even consider picking up Faye? It's just funny, man.
So, number one, revenge.
She's already screwed.
She stole all their food.
I mean, she's already screwed, man. Like this.
And maybe our Bebop boys are not as cold-hearted as we think.
Or that.
And so there's a scene where they show her doing the thing, picking up the thing and getting the casing. All we hear is the beeping of her ship, saying that there's another ship close by. Okay. Which was the sound that we heard twice previously when another ship was close by to her ship.
Yeah.
So that's all we see. We don't know we don't know who it is. We don't know anybody about it. But the fact that it then cuts to the Bebop and Jet is sitting at the computer, it does a really good job of just showing us exactly where each other is in that situation.
Yeah. It's
so
without showing, like,
we almost know that the person they're picking up on is Faye without them knowing that it's Faye. True. Just the way that the shots are constructed. I thought that was really cool.
It is.
Obviously, Faye's chained up in the Bebop. Once again, along with this lady Murdoch. Now, I'm not totally jazzed on the obvious fan service shot of Faye being chained up like that.
Yep.
Like, I get it. Faye's hot. She's meant to be hot. She's meant to be that femme fatale. She's meant to be that Fujiko. She's meant to be that femme fatale character.
She's Space Fujiko.
Space Fujiko.
She's Space Fujiko. There you go.
If Spike is Space Lupin.
Yeah, she's Space Fujiko.
And Jet is Space Jigen.
Yeah. Why not?
It's not. The parallels are there. The connections are there.
Nope. We're just waiting for a guy with a sword, but no.
I wonder if Ein is Space Goemon.
Dude, my boy Ein is he's a tier above. He's a tier above those guys.
Okay. Well, all right.
Data Dog.
Fair enough. Spike goes through all her things and finds the gold object. Faye suggests passing it on to the ISSP. They'll probably reward him for it. Jet gets in contact with his old friend Bob about why the bounty was dropped. Now, at first, Bob doesn't say anything, but when Jet reveals that he could reveal that Bob stole some illegal eye drops, possibly red eye,
yep,
from when Jet and Bob worked in the same department, Spike is now stomping on the gold object, irritating Murdoch. And in response to this beautiful blackmail, God, I love a good case of blackmail, Bob tells Jet the whole story about how the people of Ganymede are being held hostage by the Space Warriors under the threat of releasing a retrovirus that will turn all the people into monkeys while not affecting anything else. So naturally, to capitulate this, the bounty was dropped.
You know what's funny about this one? When when Spike was messing around with the thing, Murdoch was like, "Oh, I know what that is. You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that."
He's like,
and then
shoots it.
And then to finally cut the tension, which has been building this whole scene. There's been like this tension growing. Spike just shoots the casing.
Oh.
And Jet just calmly catches it like it's nothing.
And Murdoch was like, no.
Oh, I love Jet.
I'm surprised she didn't say anything like, hey, you might not want to mess around with that thing because
she's not going to give away her plan. She's not going to give away any information that she has.
If I was Murdoch and that thing's going to get shot by Spike,
I suppose.
I don't want to turn into a monkey. Like, hey guys, just want to let you know, this thing blows up, all of us, monkeys. So,
well, we'll see what happens later. So Murdoch is then delivered back to the criminals as there's no reason to keep her lest the boys get slapped with a kidnapping charge. Because I guess that's also a thing.
Yeah.
So negotiations between Murdoch and the ISSP break down, and the virus is released toward Ganymede. The ISSP close in on their ship, but it turns out that that ship is a decoy and completely goes up in flames. I gotta say, I talked earlier. I didn't talk earlier about this. No. But I love that the ISSP ships are basically X-Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. If an X-Wing was a cop car, it'd be that.
Yeah. I see it.
Yep. Love it. I love it. Bob calls Jet back and tells him, you got to tune into this station. And they find that Murdoch is doing her own private broadcast from her own satellite, saying that she's gonna do the thing. You failed, so I'm gonna release the virus. They release the virus into hyperspace. So Spike hops into the Stingray and chases it down through hyperspace.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you there. I'm pretty dumb. You have to explain hyperspace to me. So tell me if I got it right. Point A, point B, hyperspace opens up a tube. You go there. That tube closes, and you're in it. You're gone.
So here's what I think. You're familiar with the warp, right?
Yeah, Warhammer. Yeah.
Okay. So in Warhammer 40K, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, faster than light travel is possible through the use of the warp, which is essentially a second layer of reality that works differently than our reality. The idea is that if you enter into the warp here, you could leave the warp here and end up over here.
Got it. So the same as the warp, basically.
So it kind of bends. It sort of bends space-time.
Okay. Got it.
Carry on. If you're trapped in hyperspace, you're not able to interact with anything on the same plane as real space.
Okay. Because you're in a different time.
You're on a different plane of reality.
Yeah, plane of reality. Got it.
I wouldn't worry too much about time, but obviously this way of transport is a lot safer than the warp.
Yeah, seems like it.
You're not crossing the devil's front yard to get to where you need to go.
Yay.
You don't have to deal with the beings of chaos.
I don't want to be nerds. Geller Fields. We need Geller Fields. Anyway, okay, got it.
Yeah, no Geller Fields necessary. No Eye of Terra necessary. No any of that.
Okay.
So Spike races after this missile into hyperspace to chase it down to try and intercept it. Well, the missile explodes into 3 missiles. And with Spike's railgun, he's only able to hit 2.
Oh, 2? Okay.
He hits 2 of the 3. And then he gets on the horn with Faye. And she's like, hey, I can come help you, but I want 80%. And Spike's like, what? You're out of your mind. 60-40. And she's like, I get the 60. Fine. Help. She gets in her ship, runs into hyperspace. And what's wild is just as she's about to lock her target, and the shotgun on her ship actually cocks.
Yeah, I love it. Like, oh.
The ship, the missile opens up, and it's multiple warheads.
She's like,
and so at this point, the Ganymede government knows what's going on, and they're like, "Well, we're just going to lock them in hyperspace, no problem." And so now our team has to get the hell out of Dodge. Oh. And so then they turn and they burn as hard as they can. And this whole time you're on the edge of your seat because you don't know if they're going to make it. Well, you know they're going to make it, but you don't know if they're going to make it. And they get through and out of hyperspace just in time before the gate closes. Bloop. And the rest of the warheads pass over.
And after images.
Like, exactly. And then Jet explains that while matter in hyperspace is visible, it cannot interact with anything on this plane of existence.
So they see the missiles fucking
Exactly.
flying.
So until another hyperspace gate is opened, they will not be able to interact with real space.
Fair.
So it's at this point we cut back to Murdoch, who's on her ship, and she's obviously upset about how all of this kind of went down.
Yeah.
And they slam on the brakes. This causes a little gold vial to come out of Murdoch's pocket. And we flash back to when Spike let Murdoch go.
Oh!
Because Spike just sleight of hand tucked it into her dress. He just gave her the last of the virus. And that virus tube goes forward, hits the metal, shatters in the ship.
You know, I want to understand what made Spike slip that in her pocket. Does Spike know what it does? It's weird, eh? I'd say instinct.
So it's obviously cool that he does it, but it seems like the more you think about it, the dumber of a decision it was.
No, I got a theory.
Okay.
I feel like when Spike was dicking around with the vial, he kind of observed Murdoch's reaction. But that's one.
Okay.
Because she's freaking out.
Right.
But then again, he decided maybe he's like, I'm a one hell of a crack shot. I'm going to throw this, shoot it, and Jet, my boy's going to catch it, no fail.
Yeah, maybe he just knew that Jet would catch it. He knew that it wouldn't actually be.
And then maybe he saw Murdoch freaking out like, oh, this might be something that I shouldn't be messing with. That's pretty dangerous. You know what?
I'll just slide it in her pocket.
I'd say that. I just leave it at that.
Yeah, that definitely feels... That feels about right.
Yeah, I'd say that.
So, also, is hyperspace now like a quarantine zone? Or is that one ship just a quarantine?
You know, I kind of laughed when I saw this note.
Yeah,
like,
the little
you know what?
Note there.
I was like, you know what? This is a good question. Well, if the gas... Again, I don't want to get so technical of this because if this is a virus, there's like so many types of viruses.
Right.
Like they're thermophilic, photosensitive. There are viruses that thrive in the cold, in the vacuum, rah, rah, rah. But then again, they're wearing space suits.
They are wearing spacesuits.
So
here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that hyperspace is probably, excuse me, just as vast as real space.
I'd say yeah.
And so if one ship is floating around hyperspace, I do not want to be the people who accidentally stumble across it in 1,000 years.
I think...
But
having an accident in hyperspace is the worst thing to happen.
Well, because you can't... What are you going to... Like, what? Yeah, you have to be... Like, would your distress call... Well, would a distress call make it out of hyperspace?
In reference to Warhammer 40k, it's normal for people to get lost in the warp for 100, 500 years, and they come back out and PTSD squared times infinite. That's how they come out from the warp.
Just mad. They're just insane. They're just broken. They're just shattered. There's nothing left of the person from before.
There's nothing left.
They're just done. So,
but it's funny like how they managed to like make this hyperspace thing.
Yeah, I hope they have to pay. They dig into it.
No, they have to pay. Remember on episode 1 how much they paid before they get on the hyperspace? 75,000 wulongs, baby.
Oh.
You want to use this gate? 75,000 wulongs.
Oh.
Yeah.
So back on the Bebop, Faye has elected to join the crew, saying that next time they'll strike it big. Spike and Jet slowly realize this in a beautifully comical scene where Jet's main thing is, I don't know, and I don't care.
It's funny
She's using our shower.
He's like, I'm going to take a shower.
That's not okay.
And
that's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
I don't know, and I don't care. I'm going to go tell her she can't use our shower. Spike, you're an idiot. And you just hear gunshots.
Oh, yeah. you don't walk into... Nope.
No, sirree. And thus ends the episode.
What's the crew count now of the Bebop? 4.
They're up to 4.
I just want to make a PSA on this one. If you guys watch John Wick 4, do not watch the synopsis of John Wick 4 because it will spoil Cowboy Bebop. It ruined it for me.
What?
Yeah, just don't. If you haven't seen Bebop entirely, don't watch any John Wick 4 summary or anything.
Okay, so don't tell me, because I haven't seen all of Bebop, but I have seen all the John Wick movies.
Yeah, just don't put them together.
Okay.
Don't.
I won't.
Don't. It ruined it for me, man.
Okay. So these 2 episodes are honestly a great way to just introduce Faye Valentine to the story. Now, I'm starting to wonder if this show is not meant to be, but maybe best enjoyed in 2-episode batches so far. Because, like, think about it. The last 2 episodes we watched, they just really focused on Jet and Spike's vibes and building their character and their relationship and how they do their thing and how they go about moving in the world. And once you get that, after those 2 episodes, it moved into, well, this now what happens when this new character comes along, when this lady comes along and sort of shakes things up in those 2 episodes. And now she's a part of the team. And so I'm really excited to see how Spike, Jet, and Faye all interact together.
It seems like their dynamic's pretty good.
It's gonna be a cool dynamic.
They keep it professional. Hey, 60-40, I'll help you out. No, I'll text you. Oh, you're on your own. Fine.
Maybe.
They keep it clean, man.
There was a scene earlier in the show when Faye was tied up and Ein was guarding her.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really weird how they showed that scene and Faye makes a face at Ein. And Ein kind of cowers a little bit. Didn't seem like it was going anywhere. It seemed like a bit of an unimportant scene. But then when we realized that Faye had escaped, we flash back to Ein being the one cuffed to the rail.
Yep. That poor guy. My boy.
So when I said earlier about how the wackiest things happen off screen.
Like, why would you cuff a dog? Come on.
What about a data dog? You'd cuff a data dog.
Oh, that's true. Hein can hack your stuff. Like,
Hein would hack your stuff. So
it's funny how we say it casually, eh? The dog will hack your stuff, man.
The dog will just hack your stuff.
Just watch out, beware of the dog. It's not gonna bite you. It's gonna take all your stuff. Credit cards, whatever.
It's beware of dog.
Hack you with its mind.
And the final main thing that I've noticed, at least from this episode, is that the Bebop crew, if they had an alignment, they'd be the truest version of neutral good. Like, I wouldn't say they're not true neutral, but they're definitely neutral good.
They are neutral good.
You know, they seem to want to do the right thing when the right thing makes itself doable.
They're profit driven. They're not even trying to hide it.
No, of course not.
But
when it comes down to trying to make things better for people, they'll go out of their way to stop it, and they won't even think twice.
Yeah.
Spike didn't have to jump into the Stingray to go after that missile. No, he did it because, well, profit, to get the bounty, but also, I think on some level, to save Ganymede.
That's true.
You know, he didn't They could have just turned tail and left. They didn't. They stood by and they took care of the problem.
I agree.
So
it's a good 2 episodes.
I really like these 2 episodes, and so far this show has been like edge of your seat exciting.
I wonder what's going to happen. I'm going to watch the episodes tomorrow night. See what's up.
I think that's the way to do it. I think we should watch the episodes tomorrow night. So
see what's up.
Unfortunately, this show is going to come out probably after the next day that I'm talking about here. But the show Cowboy Bebop is leaving Netflix Canada on the 20th of October.
Oh,
so
really?
Right. Yes. So we spoke when we recorded the last episode. We said the show's on Netflix. You can watch it there, no problem. Don't worry, it's still on Crunchyroll. So if you're watching along with us, then you'll be able to continue to do so. You'll just have to do it over on Crunchyroll instead of Netflix, which is unfortunate because I've really enjoyed how easy it is to just how accessible the show has been, and I hope that it's something that I hope it can continue to be accessible in other ways, because this show...
Is it on Prime? Amazon? On Prime Video?
I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime.
Let me see.
You want to double confirm?
Yeah, it's on Prime Video. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
So, folks,
so it's still on Prime Video.
Prime Video, that's another option for you guys.
So, yeah, if you're watching along and you're like, oh, it's not on Netflix, blah, 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 why would you tell us it's on Netflix? Well, it's because when we recorded the show, it was. But, like we said, there'll be other ways to watch it still. And we hope that you watch along with us.
Fun.
So, if you are watching the show, it'd be really great if you subscribe to the channel and leave us a nice comment down below. And if you happen to be listening on a podcast platform, leaving us a nice review helps too. It helps us be seen, and it helps us spread the great Let's Jam Helga House word.
Yeah.
So my name is Scott.
My name's Ollie.
Thank you so much for listening to Let's Jam, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye now. This show was proudly produced by Helga House Productions. If you enjoyed the show, want extended episodes with bloopers, outtakes, and even more benefits to come, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/HelgaHouse. And for more shows like the one you just listened to, visit helgahouse.com.